This is your reality check.
Hi everyone, and welcome to The Reality Check, the Canadian show that explores a wide range of controversies and curiosities using science and critical thinking. I am your host, Darren McKee, and with me, as usual, is Adam Gardner.
What's up, Cuboids?
We have a great show for you today. Adam is going to explore whether Jim Carrey was replaced.
That's right.
But first, I'm going to look into how old are sharks? Looking around on the internet the other day, I came across a fact I've seen before illustrating that sharks are really old. So today I thought it'd be useful to talk about the age of sharks and compare it to the ages of other things to give us a bit of perspective on what happened when in this crazy universe and world of ours. I'm going to enlist Adam's help a little bit here. So, Adam, you know, sharks are really old.
How old are they, Darren?
They are so old that they're older than trees.
What?
And not just by a little bit. Sharks show up in the fossil record around 450 million years ago. That's a late Ordovician period for you nerds. Trees, on the other hand, don't appear until roughly 385 million years ago. First true forest formed thanks to a group of plants. That's a 65 million year head start for sharks. To put that in perspective, 65 million years is the entire time between the extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs and today. Sharks had already been swimming around for that long before the first tree even thought about being a tree. Not to say trees can think. Wow. So yes, sharks are older than trees. But that's just the beginning. Sharks are so old.
How old are they?
They are older than fire.
What?
Now, not fire in the lightning striking or volcanic eruption sense, all right? Those have been around since the Earth cooled enough to have a surface. First, there's controlled fire used by humans. The earliest solid evidence of hominins using fire intentionally dates to about 1 million years ago, with some claims pushing it back to 1.5 million. But also, sharks are older than wildfire by tens of millions of years.
Because there were no trees to be on fire?
Wildfire requires two things that didn't exist early in Earth's history. One, terrestrial vegetation to act as fuel. So, not necessarily trees, but something tree-like. That's number one. And two, you want to guess, Adam? Atmospheric oxygen above approximately 16% to sustain combustion.
So,
early Earth did not have oxygen levels that high.
But were the oxygen levels and was the vegetation at that level 66 million years ago when the dinosaurs were destroyed? Like, would that have been a factor? Because I know there were some pretty catastrophic events that happened. When
things caught on fire back then, for sure.
Okay.
Both conditions appear around the late Silurian to early Devonian, roughly 420 million years ago.
Okay.
That's when the first land plants grew tall and woody enough to dry out and burn, and when oxygen levels rose high enough to support sustained fire. So sharks are about 30 million years older than the earliest evidence of wildfire.
That's wow.
This also means sharks are older than the fire ecology that shaped many modern landscapes. They lived through a time when Earth had no flames on land at all, and sharks are older than the entire concept of forest fire season.
Wow. Imagine the first shark to see a forest fire. Hey, Ted, what's that? I don't even know. This is new. This is new here.
First the tornado, now this. Adam, sharks are so old.
How old are they?
They are older than the rings of Saturn.
What?
Or at least, possibly.
What?
This is a fun one. It's still debated. For a long time, scientists assumed Saturn's rings were as old as the planet itself, around 4.5 billion years, which is about the same as Earth. But recent data from the Cassini spacecraft suggests that the rings may be surprisingly young, perhaps only 100 million years old, or even younger.
That's almost nothing.
Exactly. If that's true, then sharks are 4 times older than Saturn's rings.
Whoa.
Sharks were already ancient when the rings were just a twinkle in Saturn's gravitational eye.
Imagine the first shark to spot the rings of Saturn through a telescope. Must have been something.
Sharks are so old.
How old are they?
They are older than flowers.
What?
Flowering plants, anyway, angiosperms, don't appear until around 140 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period. Before that, the world was full of ferns, conifers, cycads, and other non-flowering plants. So sharks have been around for more than 300 million years before the first flower bloomed.
Oh man, how did guy sharks even win over lady sharks?
Well,
for flowers?
Good timing, Adam. My next sense, if you've ever given someone flowers to celebrate an anniversary, just remember sharks had already celebrated about 300 million anniversaries before flowers even existed.
Rough time for them.
You know, Adam, sharks are so old
How old are they, Darren?
They're older than the Himalayas.
Wow.
The Himalayan mountain range formed when the Indian subcontinent slammed into Asia around 50 million years ago. That's practically yesterday in geological terms. Sharks been around for 9 times longer than the Himalayas have existed. They're swimming in oceans that existed long before the mountains that now contain Mount Everest began to rise.
Well, they had salt before those Himalayan salt mines.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Sharks are so old.
How old are they?
They're older than the Atlantic Ocean.
Because of Pangea?
Well, we'll see. The Atlantic Ocean, as we know, formed when the supercontinent, Pangea, began to break apart around 180 million years ago. Sharks had already been around for 270 million years by then. They swam in oceans that no longer exist, oceans with names like Iapetus and Panthalassa. Sharks have lived through multiple cycles of continents smashing together and drifting apart again.
It's kind of interesting because I always think of the dinosaurs living on Pangea, but I guess thinking about it even for 2 seconds, it doesn't make much sense because like the Yucatan Peninsula was obviously existing as separate continents when there was that impact 66 million years ago.
Yeah, but they did. Well, depending on when we're talking about, they were on certain parts of the Earth. Yeah,
obviously dinosaurs were around for hundreds of millions of years, but yeah.
Sharks are so old.
How old are they?
They survived 4 of the 5 major mass extinctions.
Wow.
The only one they didn't live through was the very first one because they hadn't evolved yet. But they made it through the late Devonian extinction, the Permian-Triassic extinction, which wiped out 90% of all species, the Triassic-Jurassic extinction, of course, and the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction, the one that killed the dinosaurs.
So, wow, how did they survive?
Keep your head down, do your work, Adam. So sharks are basically the ultimate, we're still here, species. They survived asteroid impacts, volcanic winters, runaway greenhouse events, and the rise and fall of entire ecosystems. You know, Sonny, sharks are so old.
How old are they?
They're older than bones.
What? But don't they have bones?
Now, this one sounds weird, but early sharks evolved before vertebrates had fully ossified skeletons. The earliest sharks had skeletons made of cartilage, just like modern sharks, because bone tissue evolved later in other lineages.
So
sharks are so old that they predate the invention of bones.
Well, but are you saying that some modern sharks do have bones? Therefore, not all sharks share a single common ancestor? Because I don't think bones evolved independently in different organisms.
No, Adam, modern sharks do not have bony skeletons. Their skeletons are composed entirely of cartilage and connective tissue similar to human ears and noses.
Okay, so I will infer from that sharks do share a common ancestor that did not have bones before bones existed.
Well, otherwise, this would be a terrible segment. Sharks are so old.
How old are they?
Older than the dinosaurs. Now, this is now obvious by this point. Dinosaurs appeared only around 240 million years ago. And by that point, sharks had already been around for over 200 million years.
Wow.
I know. That means sharks are about as old to dinosaurs as dinosaurs are to us.
And it makes sense because dinosaurs are vertebrates. But
there you go.
Yeah, this is a little surprising.
Sharks are so old.
How old are they?
Older than the Appalachian Mountains. Appalachians began forming around 480 to 300 million years ago, depending on which uplift event you count. That means sharks and the Appalachians are roughly the same age, but sharks kind of edge them out a little bit, depending on what you're going to count when, right? Sharks are so old.
How old are they?
Older than the Sahara Desert. Now, Sahara Desert is only 5 million years old.
It's nothing.
At this point.
Drop in a bucket.
Exactly. And the modern hyper-arid Sahara is only 2 to 3 million years old. And as we said, sharks are 450 million years old.
Oh, wow.
Sharks are so old.
How old are they?
Older than the human species.
Well, yeah.
But by a factor of 225,000.
Wow.
So modern humans are about 200,000 years old. Sharks are 450 million years old. So if you compressed Earth's history into a single calendar year, this one, humans show up at 11:52 p.m. on December 31st. Sharks show up mid-February.
Wow. We show up at party time.
Mm-hmm. And finally, sharks are so old.
How old are they?
They are older than the concept of animals living on land. The first land animals, likely early arthropods, didn't appear until about 420 million years ago.
420.
Sharks have already been around for 30 million years. Sharks existed before anything had legs. So yes, sharks are old. They are so old that they make almost everything else we think of as ancient look like it just happened last week. They survived mass extinctions, shifting continents, changing oceans, the rise and fall of entire ecosystems. They are one of Earth's great success stories. And the next time someone tells you that sharks are scary, you can remind them. Sharks have been minding their own business for 450 million years. If anything, we are the new disruptive species on the block. So if sharks ever seem annoyed by humans, honestly, that's fair.
Very interesting. Obviously, it puts like kind of all of Earth's history into a bit of context that I don't think I really had. So yeah, I appreciate that. Very interesting.
It was nice to watch Adam's face when I would tell each one of these, like, what?
I was not faking my surprise at any point.
And that's what I went through when I was researching this. I'm like, oh, yeah, because once you go to the 450 million, you're like, oh, right, so many other things only happened more recently. But it's nice to go through the list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty then, on to our next segment. Adam, some people say that Jim Carrey has been replaced. Is that true? Could it be? I don't think so, but you tell me.
Good question, Jim. Is there a clone of Jim Carrey crashing awards ceremonies, or is it actually just a guy with a really realistic face mask? We're all wondering exactly this. On February 26th, actor Jim Carrey, best known for his work in films such as Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Sonic the Hedgehog, made an appearance at the 51st César Film Awards in Paris. There, he delivered a speech in French.
En français.
Mm-hmm. I did not realize that Jim Carrey spoke French. Or does he? Or did they teach his clone French? Or does his double not actually speak English, and this is all part of the ruse somehow?
Really?
But the language skills of this vaguely Jim Carrey-looking guy was not what shocked viewers. It was that Jim Carrey didn't really look like Jim Carrey. I mean, he kind of looks like Jim Carrey, but like a version of him that you might see at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. That museum was founded by Marie Tussaud, who is, oh yes, you guessed it, French.
C'est conspiracy.
Isn't that convenient? Many fans have pointed out the difference, even suggesting that the clone had different colored eyes and signed autographs with the wrong hand. So what's really going on? One possibility, as I've of course alluded to, is that this is a clone of beloved actor Jim Carrey. This would suggest that some sort of genetic clone artificially aged somehow took Jim Carrey's place at the awards, but also that, for some reason, the clone didn't really look like him. Perhaps the clone was incubated in a rhino's womb. I mean, let's
take a moment and appreciate that. Alrighty then.
So let's probe at this idea a bit here. Identical twins are well known for being, well, identical, right? If this were Jim Carrey's clone, he can be expected to be younger or older, but ultimately he should pretty much look like Jim Carrey.
Well, I'm going to say depending how the cloning process worked for an adult human.
Sure, there may be something there. At the very least, he should have the same colored eyes and should have the same dominant hand, unless something went really wrong in aging him. More likely, people believe this to be a double of some kind. Some Jim Carrey look-alike, who was close but not identical to Mr. Carrey, and somehow proficient in French. Is this plausible? I guess there are people that kind of look alike, but don't look exactly like other people in this world. So I've heard this idea that some people have like doppelgangers out in the world that you're just sort of statistically unlikely to run into. And it's an interesting idea, but I think if we really dissect it, it's a bit ridiculous because if there was, say, a doppelganger of Brad Pitt, then the guy would probably become famous for looking like Brad Pitt. And most people, excluding Brad Pitt himself, would be convinced of the similarity. Brad Pitt has prosopagnosia, which makes it difficult for him to recognize faces. So he, like Shania Twain, may not be all that impressed by someone who looks like Brad Pitt.
That's funny. I'm actually going to disagree with you a bit on this. So
Yep.
I think there, depending on who you are and what, say, race you are, because there might be more of one type of people in this world
Yeah,
than another.
that's fair.
I think it is plausible there are people out there that look a lot like certain people. Now, it
Yes.
doesn't mean everyone,
Yep.
but it could mean for some. And I do remember years ago seeing some guy who wanted to be an actor who looked a lot like Brad Pitt. He really did.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so my thought is he perhaps did not get work precisely because
he looked too much
Brad
like Brad Pitt.
Now, maybe he could do something overseas or something like a knockoff Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
But I could also see like people with a lot of power, like a Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, like, hey, how about you don't hire anyone that looks like me because that's my likeness and I'll make it so you guys don't have success in other domains.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of the plot of the movie Dave, where the guy happens to look like the president and the president dies, takes over his place. It's a really funny movie. But yeah, I mean, I wonder. Like if someone really looked exactly like Bill Clinton, wouldn't people notice,
Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. How you doing?
That said, there is someone who looks a bit like Jim Carrey, comedian Heather Shaw, and she even weighed in on this controversy. Her take is that he's just aging and got face work. And she asked if no one had seen The Real Housewives of anything.
Yes, I've seen these videos. I'm like, could this just be someone who's had some sort of cosmetic surgery or several? And that's it.
Yep. So is it plausible that it's a double, right? Higher likelihood than an artificially aged clone who doesn't look just right. It is rooted in the scientifically plausible. But there is another possibility, and a lot of people believed this one, at least for a short time. Jim Carrey was actually Alexis Stone wearing a Mission Impossible style face mask. Who is Alexis Stone, you may ask? He is a famous makeup artist who's known for turning himself into popular celebrities using makeup and masks and rubber masks and things like this. After fans were skeptical about this bizarro Jim Carrey at the awards ceremony, Alexis Stone came clean with a post to his 1.4 million Instagram followers, which read simply, Alexis Stone as Jim Carrey in Paris, or, as one might say pretentiously, Jim Carrey in Paris. The post included 2 photos of the vaguely Jim Carrey-like figure at the awards ceremony and a third image of a Jim Carrey face mask, wig, prosthetic teeth, and makeup. And in the window in the background, oh yes, the Eiffel Tower. That's in Paris, by the way.
Of course. What would have been great is if the guy had video showing his transformation into the very person he said he was.
If it was true, he would probably be able to provide something like that. So this was believed by many.
Yeah.
Megan Fox, who was Sam Witwicky's love interest in the first 2 live-action Transformers films, commented, and I quote, I can't handle any more stress right now. I need to know if this is real.
That is great. Why don't we just say, that's amazing. Good job. Alrighty.
So this is actually the first I saw the whole affair, so I had to figure out the rest backwards. I'm presenting it to you in a slightly more linear fashion. To me, it was almost immediately evident that the photo of the supposed mask was AI generated. The rim around the tray with the teeth in it wasn't of a consistent thickness. The makeup containers and brushes were a little off, with parts of some containers bleeding into others. The wig was on a pedestal, which was partly hanging over the edge of the table, which was of an odd shape. Now, I won't say AI images are easy to spot. These things are getting better every few weeks, and I'm sure all of these issues will be fixed in a year's time. But yeah, this one was fake and somewhat easy to spot. So what's really going on? Honestly, watch the video. It is obviously Jim Carrey. A good double is hard to do. There's one guy, for example, that does a really good Tom Cruise voice, but he doesn't really look like him, so he does AI to make himself look like Tom Cruise, and that becomes convincing. But to think that someone could look this much like Jim Carrey and do his voice and do his mannerisms, I think it's a bit of a stretch. Even in French, Jim Carrey in this video is obviously Jim Carrey. One article on the topic said that it was lighting, age, and fluctuating weight that would explain the difference in his appearance. I'm sorry. Are people so naive? I think the answer is really simple. Jim Carrey, like many others in his profession, almost certainly had some kind of work done. Plastic surgery is surely more common than we think. It's just that when it's done well, you just don't notice. And in this case, well, we noticed.
Like Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Like Tom Cruise. You just typically don't notice.
Nope. So Jim Carrey didn't confirm publicly that he had any work done, and that's fine. That's his prerogative, but come on. Now, I'm not an expert. It may not be surgery. It might be some sort of a Botox filler or something like that. Maybe a mix of those things. I don't know. I once got bug bites on my face. It swelled up. It was the day before prom. It was kind of terrible. I looked probably like I would have looked if I got a bunch of Botox in my face.
Adam's like, I look 10 years younger, which is not great because I was in my teens.
I was 19 years old. I just looked weird. It was bizarre. If this wasn't Jim Carrey, a man who was known for his face and how he contorts it, we may not really have noticed the change quite as much. If you saw a guy in the street and you'd never met him before, you probably wouldn't recognize if he had this kind of plastic surgery, for example. But he's Jim Carrey, and for better or for worse, his face is very well known, so spotted right away. But you know who's happy that everyone's paying attention to Jim Carrey? Avril Lavigne, or should I say, Melissa Vandella, the double, who took her place years ago. And do you know what Avril Lavigne means? Avril is French for April. Lavigne is French for the vine. That's right, French. Avril Lavigne's father, Jean-Claude Lavigne, is French. And Avril Lavigne even got a French passport in 2012 and lived in Paris to learn French. Coincidence?
Yes.
Yes, probably.
Good. Otherwise, who is her, Adam?
Jim Carrey was probably not cloned.
I mean, that's a safe statement. Probably not.
He probably didn't use a double who gave a speech in French at an awards ceremony while perfectly mimicking his mannerisms.
Not the first time he's worn a mask, though.
He also was not replaced by makeup and disguise expert Alexis Jones, who was, by all indications, just making a fun joke that went viral, as he likely intended. He probably just had some work done. It doesn't look particularly good or bad. It just doesn't quite look like the Jim Carrey we all know and love. But as you can see from the way he acts and talks, it is indeed him.
Well done, Adam. That makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Take care now. Bye-bye then. Thank you for joining us once again, listeners. I talked to you about sharks being really, really old compared to many, many other things. And Adam talked to us about Jim Carrey, who probably still exists in his earthly form. Until next time, think better to act better.
Peace out, cute boys.
For show notes or to discuss this episode, visit our Facebook page and website at trcpodcast.com. For general inquiries or to send a topic or parody suggestion, email info@trcpodcast.com. Help support the show by leaving a review on iTunes and liking us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at TRC_podcast.
Outtakes. All right, let's talk about some sharks.
It's like a silly joke refrain.
Oh boy.
Like, so fat, how fat? So, like, sharks are so old.
How old are they?
And then
Okay.
And then I'll have another one like, Adam, sharks are so old. Like,
how old are they?
I'm like, that'll be cute.
I can do that.
I think it'll be cute. It's going to be very hard not to do a Jim Carrey impression the whole time.
I think you should do a couple.
Lean into it?
If you want to. It's not a serious segment.
Alrighty then. Don't need to ask me twice. This has all been recording, wasting your time.
That's fine.
Okay.
It's 2 minutes, nothing.
You ready?
Yeah. I was born ready.
That's not true.
It's never true.
Sharks are so old.
How old are they?
Wait.
Sorry.
Oh, should I have done a Jim Carrey introduction?
Oh, you could do a Jim Carrey introduction.
Oh, that makes sense. What would it be, though? Thank you for joining us, listeners. I talked to you about blanking on my entire segment.
It was the shark thing.
Yep. It's trying to do the most annoying sound in the world.
Oh.
I mean, I'd have to yell it, though. So you can just cut that.